Well, thank you very much, Commissioner, for joining us today. There's a big EU meeting taking place on Monday in Brussels with Turkey on the refugee crisis. What do you think is going to be achieved at this meeting?
The preparation is already done. I am quite optimistic. I believe that
Commissioner,
the outcome
apologies. We're just going to start. Yes. Sorry. We're just going to start again. We're just going to start again. Apologies.
No problem.
Okay. We're just setting everything up. We should be starting any second.
Okay, good.
Okay. Yes. Yeah, let's go. Here we go, sir.
Are ready?
Yep.
That's good, that's good. Okay.
Thank you very much for joining us, Commissioner. There's a big meeting on Monday, of course, between EU leaders and Turkey to talk about the refugee crisis. What's going to be achieved at this meeting?
First of all, an agreement has already been reached between Turkey and Europe. And talks are ongoing. As you know, President Tusk is there right now, and my colleagues, Vice President Timmermans and Commissioner Hahn was there yesterday. So we look forward to have a final agreement on Monday on what has to do, first of all, with the acceleration of returns of irregular migrants from Greece to Turkey over the last days. We have already done it, but we have to step it up. And on the other hand, as you know, European Union is committed to provide with full support Turkey. Today, we presented just some minutes ago the report on the visa liberalization roadmap for Turkey, which was one of the issues on behalf of Turkey, and we have allocated also some money. So we believe that at the end, with all what we have done, we shall manage to stem the flows from Turkey to Greece, to step up returns and readmissions, fight the ugly smuggling business, and proceed to massive relocations and resettlement. So this is our aim, and we hope that we shall be in a position at the end of this meeting on Monday to have achieved this goal.
And you've set an end of year... Sorry.
Yes, let me tell you, Mark, that it's very important in order to manage the situation to put Turkey on board, because without Turkey, we cannot do anything. Turkey was used for a long period as a corridor of irregular migrants and refugees towards Europe. As you know, the Greek islands during the last year were overrun, were overwhelmed, because we didn't have this cooperation with Turkey. Now, Turkey is engaged in the framework I described before, and I believe that it will be to a positive, let's say, contribution in order to manage the situation.
And you also, the European Commission, set an end-of-year target date for lifting internal border checks in Europe. Do you think that target, the end-of-year date, is reasonable?
Yes, and let me tell you that today we made some announcements in order to step up our efforts and return to a normal functioning of the Schengen area. In other words, without internal border controls. We cannot imagine Europe moving ahead, going back to the old times where we had to be checked at the borders crossing. While the exceptional and temporary controls that are happening now in 8 countries, as you know, the Schengen zone, it's good to note it, are according to the rules, we cannot forget what is our objective, that they are indeed exceptional and temporary, and very soon we have to go back to normal. Of course, that means that we have to address very serious deficiencies at our external borders. As you know, we are working very closely with, first of all, with the Greek authorities to help them address these challenges in a comprehensive way, because we cannot have free movement internally if we cannot manage our external borders effectively. And let me tell you here that it is exactly the refugee and the migration crisis that have put everybody in front of their responsibilities, because it is the major issue. But beyond that, it's good to know that deficiencies were already existing before. But now they're interconnected, as you understand, with the management of the refugee crisis. And the other thing that I would like to tell you is that we move ahead with a very important initiative. And we believe that very soon, within this year, we shall have put in place the European Borders and Coast Guard. In other words, the enhanced, I would say, aspect of what Frontex is doing today. But it's very important for us to have a European corps being designated to play this very important role, in other words, to defend and protect our borders.
Where there isn't unity is in redistributing migrants. That's got opposition from a number of countries, such as Hungary. How are you going to overcome that opposition?
It is true to say that we have some problems with some countries who were, although they had agreed to be part of this relocation scheme, they are not very willing to help. But they shouldn't forget that what was decided at the level of the Council of Ministers, all along with the Commission, of course, is mandatory. They have to apply it. We have some problems there, but let's hope that we shall overcome it, because it is to the benefit of everybody. Okay, Hungary is not under pressure like other countries in the region, but you never know what will happen tomorrow. It's a moment for them and for everybody to show more solidarity among us, among member states, but also more responsibility. You know that these basic principles are values upon which the European project is built, and they are not only moral but also legal, since they are very clearly and explicitly stipulated in the treaties of the Union.
And is the European project at risk if we don't forge a common refugee policy? Would you go as far as saying that? Is the EU truly facing an existential crisis here?
I would agree with this approach, because I'm very much concerned, Mark. The European Union is the greatest achievement historically of our times. Nobody would ever imagine 60 years ago that European nations who were on a permanent, I would say, conflict among them, that one day they would live in a peaceful, homogeneous and united environment. And that was the achievement. So we have to defend and protect by all means this great achievement of our times. Right now, given the refugee and migration crisis, the European project is at stake. It is true, because, as I said before, the basic values upon which this project is built are put in doubt by some member states. Let me tell you something, and I would like to be very vocal on that. I believe that one of the main threats of the European project right now are not the challenges with which we are confronted, but mainly the rising of populism, nationalism, and xenophobia in Europe. Some political forces are exploiting the refugee crisis in order to foster hatred and, of course, to go back to national politics. But as you understand, a union cannot exist if we do not follow the same line, if we do not follow the same policy. I know it is very difficult for many countries to accept it, but now let me shift somewhere else. It's not the countries, but some governments. So it is also a political issue. And the question is, do we really want to move ahead in enhancing and deepening more the consolidation of European unity, or we shall backtrack? And this will never be forgiven by our children.
Commissioner, many want to backtrack, particularly here in the UK. There's an upcoming referendum, as you know, on the 23rd of June. Do you think the deal that Prime Minister David Cameron struck a couple of weeks ago to curtail welfare benefits to new migrants from the EU, do you think that'll be enough to suppress anti-EU feeling in the upcoming referendum? Because, as you know, immigration is top of concerns when it comes to the upcoming referendum.
It is top of concern for all European countries, including Great Britain, of course. But as far as the domestic political developments are concerned, I'm not the proper person to express my opinion. But I can tell you something more general, Mark. As a European, I could never imagine Europe without the United Kingdom. And here, I would like to turn back to the old times and remind the last words of one of the greatest European leaders, Winston Churchill. Hello?
Commissioner, thank you very much for joining us today. A perfect...
The pleasure all mine, Mark. I'm always at your disposal.
I thought you were going to come out with a quote then. I was waiting for your Churchill quote, but I know enough...
I have, Mark, so many quotes from these times that I can tell you that me, as a Greek and as a European, I was very much inspired to follow the European path as it was very clearly sent as message from this great man.
Commissioner, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
For bringing up Winston Churchill, our former Prime Minister. We'll speak to you again soon. The European
Have a nice day.
Union
Bye-bye.
Commissioner for Migration, Dimitris Avramopoulos there.